Let me ask you something. When was the last time someone sat down with you, truly sat down, and spoke honestly about what it means to grow old? Not to reassure you, not to say, "Oh, you don't look a day over 50." Not to sell you a cream, a supplement, a program that promises to turn back the clock. I mean someone who looked at you with clear eyes and said, "Here is what is happening. Here is what it means. And here is why it does not have to frighten you." I suspect it has been a long time, perhaps never. And that is not because the people in your life do not love you. It is because we live in a culture that has forgotten how to look at old age without flinching. A culture that mistakes honesty for cruelty and avoidance for kindness. Today I want to offer you something different. My name is Mahinda Siri Thero. I am a Buddhist monk in the Theravada tradition, and for over 40 years I have sat with people your age, people older than you, as they navigated the great truths that life eventually hands to all of us. Today, I want to share with you 5 truths about old age that no one will tell you directly. Not because they are dark truths, but because they are deep truths. And in my experience, it is the deep truths, the ones we have been avoiding, that finally set us free. Are you ready? Then let us begin. The Buddha was not a man who looked away. 26 centuries ago, a young prince stepped outside the walls of his palace for the first time and encountered 3 sights that changed his life forever. A very old man, a very sick man, and a dead man. Most people read this story and see tragedy. I read it and see the beginning of wisdom. The Buddha did not run from what he saw. He sat with it. He investigated it. And from that honest, unflinching gaze at the nature of human life, he found a path that leads not around suffering, but through it, to something the ancient texts call nibbana, liberation, peace, the end of unnecessary suffering. Today's talk is rooted in that same spirit, not the spirit of denial, not the spirit of despair, the spirit of seeing clearly. Here are the 5 truths. You have probably felt it. The morning your knees argued with you before you even reached the bathroom. The afternoon your hands could not open a jar that once would have offered no resistance. The evening you looked in the mirror and thought, when did that happen? And underneath those moments, if we are honest, there is often a feeling that is very close to betrayal, as though the body you have lived in for 60, 70, 80 years has turned against you, as though it is failing you. I want to offer you a different way of seeing this. The Buddha taught something he called anicca, impermanence. It is one of the 3 fundamental characteristics of all existence. Everything that arises passes. Everything that is born decays. Everything that comes together eventually comes apart. This is not a punishment. It is not a failure. It is the nature of all things that are made of matter. The ancient teachings describe the human body as being composed of 4 great elements: earth, water, fire, and wind. Solidity, fluidity, warmth, and movement. These elements come together for a time, for your lifetime, and they will, in time, return to the larger world from which they came. This process is not your body betraying you. This is your body completing its nature, truthfully, faithfully, right on schedule. Think of an old tree in a forest, not a young sapling, a great ancient tree whose roots go deep into the earth. Its bark is rough. Its branches bear the marks of 100 storms. It grows more slowly than it once did. But is that tree broken? Is that tree failing? Or is it, perhaps, exactly what a tree becomes when it has been given enough time to become fully itself? You are not a broken young person. You are an elder, and that is an entirely different thing. Now, what does this mean in practice? How do we actually live with a body that changes? I suggest this. Instead of fighting your body, begin witnessing it. Not with frustration, not with grief, with something closer to curiosity, gratitude even. Each morning, take 60 seconds. Place your hands on your knees or your chest or wherever feels right and say simply and silently, "Thank you, you have carried me this far." This is not positive thinking. This is not pretending the aches are not real. It is choosing a different relationship, one of companionship instead of combat. Because here is what I have learned from 4 decades of sitting with aging people. The ones who suffer least are not the ones whose bodies change the least. They are the ones who stop fighting the change and start listening to what the change is trying to say. You are not falling apart. You are falling into truth. We are living through what researchers now call an epidemic of loneliness, and it is hitting people your age the hardest. Children grown and scattered, friends who have passed, a spouse perhaps who is no longer here, a world that seems to move faster than you, a world designed for younger hands, younger eyes, younger rhythms. The loneliness is real. I am not going to tell you it is not. But I want to look more carefully at where it comes from. Because in my experience, most people are looking in the wrong direction. We tend to believe that loneliness is something that happens to us, something that arrives from outside. We feel alone because others are not here. We feel disconnected because the connections we once had have thinned. And there is truth in this, but it is only a partial truth. The Buddha taught something called anatta, the teaching of no self. It sounds abstract, but here is what it means in very practical terms. What we call the self, this solid, separate, isolated me that feels cut off from the world, is largely a construction, a habit of mind, a story we have been telling so long that we have forgotten it is a story. And this constructed self, this feeling of being a single island in a wide ocean, is one of the deepest sources of human suffering. Here is what I have noticed after decades of sitting with people in meditation. Many of us reach 60, 70 years of age and have never truly been alone with ourselves. Not really. We have been busy. We have been needed. We have filled the silence with activity, with family, with noise. And then retirement comes. The house quiets, and suddenly there is a stranger sitting across the table. Yourself. I once sat in retreat with a man, 71 years old, retired engineer, 3 children, 5 grandchildren. By every external measure, he was surrounded by people who loved him. And yet he told me, on the 3rd day of the retreat, I have never felt so alone in my life as I do right now. He sat with that feeling. He did not run from it. And on the 5th day, something shifted. He came to me with tears in his eyes, but also, unmistakably, with something that looked like relief. He said, "I think I have been lonely for my whole life. I just never stopped long enough to notice." The loneliness was not new. It was just finally visible. And what followed that recognition was not more pain. What followed was the beginning of something extraordinary, a real relationship with himself. And from that, a deeper, more genuine relationship with everyone around him. This is the path the Buddha points to. If you are feeling lonely, I encourage you, do not reach immediately for the phone, the television, the next distraction. Sit for 5 minutes in the quiet. Place your hand on your heart and practice what the Buddha called metta, loving kindness, beginning with yourself. Say these words slowly, silently. May I be well. May I be happy. May I be at peace. This may feel strange at first. Many of us find it easier to offer kindness to others than to ourselves. But this is where the healing begins, not with fixing the world outside, with befriending the world within. The loneliness you fear on the outside is a mirror of the stranger you have not yet met on the inside. When I sit with people in meditation, particularly people your age, I often invite them to ask themselves a very simple question. Is there something you wish you had done differently? Almost always, the answer comes quickly, without hesitation, sometimes with tears. The years that were too full of work and not full enough of presence. The words that were never said. The apology that came too late or never came at all. The dream that was set aside and never retrieved. We carry these things. Some of us have been carrying them for 20, 30 years. And the weight, if we are honest, is considerable. Now, let me ask you something. What do you do with that weight? Many people do one of two things. Either they suppress it, push it down, stay busy, refuse to look at it. Or they rehearse it, turning it over and over in the mind like a stone, wearing themselves down with, if only, and I should have. Both of these responses treat regret as a problem to be solved, something to be gotten rid of. But the Buddha's teaching suggests something different. In the Buddhist understanding, kamma, often translated as karma, is not a system of cosmic punishment. It is not a ledger of sins waiting to be balanced. It is more like an ongoing conversation between who you have been and who you are still becoming. The Buddha did not teach us to erase the past. He taught us to see it clearly, without clinging. And there is a profound difference between those two things. There is a distinction I find very useful here, the difference between guilt and remorse. Guilt says, I am bad. It is self-focused, circular, and ultimately paralyzing. Guilt keeps you locked in the past. Remorse says, I caused harm and I wish I had acted differently. It is clear-eyed and honest, but it points forward. Remorse contains within it the seed of change. It is regret that has found its wisdom. One of the most powerful practices I offer to people carrying old wounds is simple but not easy. Write a letter. You do not have to send it. Write it to the person you wronged or the person who wronged you. Or write it to your younger self, the one who was doing the best they could with what they had at the time. And in that letter, offer forgiveness. Complete forgiveness. Not because what happened was acceptable, but because carrying the weight any longer is no longer serving you or anyone. Here is what I have seen again and again. When people finally set down the stone of regret, when they stop trying to change what cannot be changed and instead learn what the experience has been trying to teach, something remarkable happens. Not just relief, wisdom, a depth and a compassion that only comes from having truly suffered and truly healed. You are 60, 70, 80 years old. Do you know what that means? You still have time to complete the lesson. That is why the regret came, not to punish, to finish. I want to talk to you about something that your culture works very hard to avoid. In America, people do not die. They pass away. They go to a better place. They are no longer with us. The language softens. The edges are made smooth. And the funeral home, that last house of the body, is tucked away somewhere most people only visit when they have no other choice. I understand why. Death frightens us. And when something frightens us deeply, we build walls around it. We keep it at arm's length. We let professionals handle it so we do not have to. But here is what I have observed over decades of practice and of accompanying people at the end of their lives. The people who are most frightened of death are not the ones who have thought about it too much. They are the ones who have thought about it too little. Avoiding death does not protect us from it. Avoiding death simply means we arrive at it when it comes, as unprepared as we would arrive at any destination we refused to study. In the Theravada Buddhist tradition, there is a practice called Maranasati, awareness of death. It is one of the oldest and most respected practices in the entire canon of Buddhist meditation. The monks and nuns of ancient times would sometimes sit in charnel grounds, places where bodies were left to decompose, and they would contemplate, without flinching, the nature of the body and its end. This sounds morbid, I understand, but hear what the tradition says it produces. Not depression, not despair, clarity, gratitude, a sharpening of what actually matters, and ultimately, a fearlessness that no amount of distraction can manufacture. Let me tell you about one of my students. Her name, I will not use her real name, I will call her Margaret. She was 72 years old. She had been a school teacher her whole life. She came to a 10-day meditation retreat, and on the third day she came to me, white-knuckled, and said, "I cannot stop thinking about dying. I am terrified." I said to her, "Good, do not stop. Keep looking." She thought I was cruel. She came back on the 7th day, and her face was completely different. Softer, open, almost luminous. She said, "I looked at it. I really looked at it. And something happened. It became smaller, and my life became bigger." This is what the practice of death awareness does. Not making life smaller, making it real. So I want to offer you a practice. You can do it right now, in the chair where you are sitting. Close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Take 3 slow breaths. And ask yourself, honestly and gently, if today were the last day I had, what would still matter? What would fall away on its own? Sit with that. Do not rush to answer. Just sit. What rises to the surface is not morbid. It is your truest priority list. The people, the moments, the qualities of presence that are, underneath everything, what your life is actually for. Only when you stop running from death will you finally start running toward life. And now we come to the 5th truth, the one I find most people are most surprised by. Because our culture has a story about old age, and it goes something like this. You work, you contribute, you raise your family, you build your career, and then, when your body begins to slow, when the hair turns white, when the grandchildren start calling, you step back, you retire, you rest. The message is kind, but its undertone is not. You have done your part. Others will carry it from here. And for many people sitting where you are sitting right now, that message has not sat right. There is a restlessness underneath the retirement party, a question that does not go away. Is this really all that is left? The Buddha's answer is a quiet but emphatic no. In fact, the Buddhist tradition holds that certain qualities of mind and heart, what the texts call paramita, the perfections, actually ripen with age. Wisdom, compassion, equanimity, the ability to hold joy and sorrow with equal steadiness. Generosity that is no longer motivated by the need for recognition. These are not qualities of youth. They are qualities that require time, seasons, storms, and the slow, hard-won understanding that comes only to those who have lived long enough and paid close enough attention. In many traditional societies, the elders were not the ones who stepped back. They were the ones who stepped forward into a different kind of leadership. Not the leadership of doing, but the leadership of being, of holding, of witnessing, of remembering what the young are too busy to know. Our culture has lost this, but that does not mean you have to. Let me tell you about another person from our meditation community. His name? I will call him Robert. He was 68 years old when he came to his first retreat. He had retired from a long career in business. He described his retirement as a very comfortable prison. He had money, he had time, he had everything the culture said he should want, and he felt completely, utterly purposeless. At the end of the retreat, he sat with me and said, I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. I said, what did you find easy that other people find hard? He thought for a long moment, and then he said, I could always help people calm down when they were overwhelmed. I could always see clearly when everyone around me was panicking. Then that is your practice, I said. Find the people who are overwhelmed. Sit with them. 6 months later, he was volunteering at a hospice. Not doing anything dramatic. Just sitting with people who were frightened. Just being a steady presence in a room where most people were running away. He told me it was the most purposeful he had felt in 30 years. Your gray hair is not a dimming light. It is a light that has finally learned where to shine. Your purpose in this chapter of life does not need to be large. It does not need to be impressive. It needs to be true. Perhaps it is the story you tell your grandchild about what your life has meant. Perhaps it is the garden you tend, knowing someone will enjoy its fruit long after you. Perhaps it is the phone call you make to someone who is struggling, just to say, I see you. I have been there. You're not alone. These are not small things. In the economy of the spirit, these are among the largest things there are. Do not let anyone tell you that your most important chapter is behind you. The deepest roots grow slowly, and what grows slowly grows strong. 5 truths. Your body is not betraying you. It is doing what all things made of matter will do. Meet it with gratitude, not war. Your loneliness is real, but its deepest root is inside, not outside. Meet yourself first. Your regrets are not wounds that need hiding. They are teachings that need completing. Let them finish their work. Death is not the enemy of your life. The avoidance of it is. Look at it honestly and let it clarify everything. And your purpose is not behind you. It may be the very thing you are only now, finally, old enough to offer. I want to close with an invitation. Take just one of these truths, not all 5, just one. The one that felt like something you have always known but never been given permission to say out loud. Carry it with you this week. Sit with it in the morning. Let it change the way you see one small moment and watch what happens. The Dharma does not ask for grand gestures. It asks for honest attention, moment by moment, breath by breath. May you grow old with eyes wide open. May you find in every wrinkle a story worth keeping. May you discover in the slowing down a depth you never found in the rushing forward. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be well. May all beings find peace. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.